The Radio Wammo Breakfast.
Suckling on the teat of tech.
With Paul Brislen.
Talking high tech as we like to do. Paul Brislen on Twitter, twitter.com/Paul Brislen. G'day there, Paul.
Hello, how are you?
Very well, good sir.
Jolly good.
Let's have an update on ACTA, this anti-counterfeiting trade agreement. Or what's the T stand for?
Trade.
It is trade.
I think it's trade. But it's all about counterfeit. It's all about fake dollar bills. Oh no, wait, it's not. It's got absolutely nothing to do with counterfeiting. So we call it anti-counterfeiting. I'm surprised they didn't get terrorist in there. Maybe that's what the T's really for.
Yeah, it could be.
T's for terrorists.
Now,
we could have had child porn, and then we would have had the whole thing all wrapped up into one emotional time bomb.
Yeah, now we have talked about this on the show, and the fact that there was a secret meeting in Wellington, and there was a public version of that meeting where we were talking about the issues and actually just trying to get some information, more information about ACTA out there.
Exactly. That's right, and it's starting to flood out finally, which is very nice to see.
Yep.
Michael Geist, who is a guest visitor from Canada, he's a lawyer who's been agitating about this for quite some time. He came down and spoke to the crowd, and I didn't make it, but one of my colleagues did, said it was an eye-opener. It was fantastic to hear him speak about all of this kind of thing. And the upshot seems to be that we are finally getting some inside looks at what the legislation actually holds and why it is such an astonishing piece of legislation.
So we now know the content, but we don't know the position that the various countries are taking on it.
No, that's right. So now the pressure shifts from tell us what this thing is to okay, now we know what it is. Government, we don't like it. Which is a very significant step. Previously, we couldn't actually even argue about the case in hand and the detail of it because nobody would show us. So now that now we've got to this point, it's time now to start lobbying the MPs and government and the opposition and everybody and make sure that this is a really big thing for them. And thankfully, here in New Zealand, most of our politicians seem to realise just what a big schmozzle this is. Internet NZ has recently come out and said that this is an absolutely appalling thing for internet users in New Zealand. That it just takes away your rights and your freedoms and potentially even your internet connection because of all the things we've talked about before. The sort of 3 strikes and you're out, all that kind of absolute nonsense, really, which these guys want to introduce.
Yeah. But we don't know what the national government's position on it actually is.
No. So up at Foo Camp, a bit of a geek meetup earlier in the year, both Labour and National had people there, and both sides said quite openly, look, if it comes down to a free trade agreement with the United States, and one of the precursors of that free trade agreement is you have to sign up to ACTA, we'll both sign up to it.
We'll sell our souls.
We will indeed sell ourselves, just so we can tick off the big, we've got a free trade agreement box. And frankly, that's not surprising, but it is quite galling because aren't these guys supposed to be representing New Zealand, not just desperately trying to get a free trade agreement no matter what? Because this basically takes the free out of free trade agreement. It says that thou shalt enact certain laws if you want to get a free trade agreement with the US. And given the Aussie free trade agreement, you'd have to say, well, what a complete waste of time it's been for them.
Okay, well, the saga will continue, Paul.
I think so. It's hardly done yet. We need to really get active on this one and really stir up some trouble.
Now, something written in the Herald this morning regarding something called Moore's Law you don't agree with.
Oh, no. So Anthony Duesberg's the journalist, and he and I have worked together for many years, and he's a lovely chap, and he's got this idea in his head that, it's all going to end. It's all going to end in tears. And he's pointing to Moore's Law this week, which is this idea that every 18 months or 2 years or so, the number of processors on your microchip will double, and the price of them will halve. So that basically you've got what we've seen over the last sort of 20 years, really, this astonishing, rapid growth in technology that has just, it's blown away all other sectors. Cars have not increased this well. We haven't seen anything like this from the airline industry or from medicine or anything really. Computing has been growing so tremendously fast, and it's all down to being able to pack more and more firepower, in effect, onto these chips.
Yep.
And Anthony quite rightly points out that the way they do it today, this thing called lithography, is reaching the limits of its usefulness. And what they do I don't know if you know this, to make the chips, you've seen a basic chip, haven't you? Like a SIM card or a computer chip. It looks like they've carved little channels in the metal fabric. These days, they carve those little channels with light. They use a beam of light and a little frame to cast a shadow, and it stamps the image that's needed onto the chip itself.
It's very clever.
It's very clever stuff, but of course we're starting to get so small now that the wavelength of visible light is so wide that you can't actually use it terribly much anymore. So they've moved on to things like infrared, trying to do different bits and pieces. And Anthony's argument is that this is all about to hit the wall, and we will end up with the smallest possible ones we could ever possibly get, and that will be that. And in fact, that's nonsense, because every time we get close to it, some clever boffin in a laboratory somewhere, probably in Germany or perhaps Zurich, popped up and says, aha, if we switch to using ultraviolet, it will all start again, and we'll get smaller and smaller and smaller still until you could swallow your whole computer.
It's in the realm of nanotech, isn't it?
It is. We're getting down to that kind of level now, and it's proving to be very exciting, because basically we're talking about mechanical computers that are built out of atoms. So you're going to get to the point where you could be wearing your computer as part of your clothing, or perhaps you swallow it as part of a medical package. This kind of thing, you see, it's getting to that size, and we're fast approaching the point where we'll have a whole new realm of computing capability.
Good hope. So Duesberg doesn't know what he's talking about, according to Paul Brislen.
Well, he does, but we won't hold that against him.
The big social media story of the week is Facebook and their new developments, the new things that they've announced this week.
Yes. So Facebook is, of course, the giant behemoth of the social media industry. Forget Twitter, forget Bebo or even MySpace now. Do you remember them? It's all about Facebook, and Facebook's periodically made some dramatic changes which then rile up its users like nobody's business. And this time around, it's getting in even further into the personalization realm. So the more you do with Facebook, and the more that you use Facebook as your sort of basic portal to the internet, the more customizable it will become, and the more that you will see the sort of information that you've been looking for in the past.
Yeah.
And that's exactly the kind of thing that I hate, I have to say. I absolutely despise it when the computer says, oh, so you've been looking for raunchy 17-year-old schoolgirl porn, therefore you will only get raunchy 17-year-old schoolgirl porn from now on. That kind of thing just gets up my nose, because I don't know what I don't know. And I don't know that there's a whole new realm of stuff out there that I might want to have a look at, and a whole new, type of music that I've never heard of before. And I'll never find out if all I'm getting is stuff that is based on my previous likes and dislikes.
But don't you like the idea, though, that that you are perhaps into something, you are into a particular type of movies, a particular genre of movies, and if you could go to another website and click on like with that, and then that will integrate with Facebook, that you will get served up more relevant stuff?
To a degree, yes, but then I also like the completely irrelevant stuff. And I like the fact that I didn't know anything at all about a certain time period in history, and now, thanks to the internet, I can become a mini expert in minutes and find out all there is to know about the Habsburgs, or the disappearance of the particular empire, or whatever the hell it is. Everybody's into something different, and I really like that about the internet. Finding something that I've never heard of before, and discovering that there's a whole world of information out there ready just for me. I always fear these sort of portals that say, "Don't worry, just come to us. We'll do it all for you." And you need never think again.
And so the big change that people notice, though, for fan pages is that you no longer become a fan. You no longer click the button, become a fan. You click a like button instead.
And you become a like. Yes. Yeah. See, it's very telling. You become a like.
Indeed.
We're all the same. No, I must say I never was terribly happy with the idea of being a fan. That's all well and good if it's a very broadcast thing, isn't it? It's a very one way.
Yeah.
I like you, therefore I will be your fan. Whereas a like is far more a sort of an equal footing kind of thing, isn't it?
Hey, Paul, if there was a Paul Brislen like button, hey, I'd click it.
Oh, listen, that's just plucked my heartstrings there with that. I heart you too. But, like, it's all good. Like as much as like. And, yeah, I'd rather have a like button than a fan button, that's for sure.
And that's where I'd like to point people along to the Facebook page for the Radio Wammo show, facebook.com/Radio Wammo. Like it. I like it. Thanks, Paul.
Like it a lot.
Like you later.
Take it easy.
See ya. Paul Brislen on Twitter as well, twitter.com/Paul.